Hey, if you're pregnant over 40, I have just the community for you. It's a private community away from Facebook where women just like you come together to meet and support one another during pregnancy. To sign up for the waitlist, go to over40fabulousandpregnant.com/waitlist and be the first to know when the membership is open. I can't wait to see you inside. Welcome to Over 40 Fabulous and Pregnant. I'm your host, Jamie Massey, and you're listening to episode 22. If you're looking for pregnancy stories of women over 40, you've come to the right place. We have Jessica on the show to share her pregnancy at 47. And in this episode, she was also pregnant in her 20s, so she does a lot of comparing between the two. She also shares her diet and exercise routine. She has been vegan for 12 years. And she also shares why she prefers to find out the sex of her babies. I actually mentioned this on a few podcasts ago, but I think it's really good. She changed my mind about finding out the sex. She also had breast implants removed. So she goes over her concerns and the doctor's concerns and really about breastfeeding with implants that were removed. So with that, let's get into Jessica's pregnancy journey at 47. Jessica, thank you so much for coming on the show.
Hey, you're welcome.
I'm so excited today, and you are postpartum. You're out, a few months or just 1 month?
She turned 5 weeks old yesterday.
Oh, congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you.
Before we get started with your story, could you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Well, I am 47. I have two older children that are 22 and 19. I am a stay-at-home mom, but I also work from home. So I sell activewear from home, which works out fantastic. And I'm in San Diego, California.
Are you getting a lot of rain now?
We actually are. We're getting ready for rain today again. So we're not as bad as a lot of the Northern California folks, thankfully, but I'm kind of over the rain. I know we need it, but I think being a new mommy and being housebound has been kind of a bummer lately. Yeah, we have rain coming this afternoon.
Okay, so let's get back to when you were 46, and this is very much a surprise pregnancy. What did that look like?
Very much. Well, like many of us 46-year-olds, I had a late period in January, and I was a couple weeks late, and I was not pregnant. And then it happened again in April. And so I just assumed I was not pregnant again, but just thought I was going through kind of the change and dealing with some hormonal stuff. So I needed to make a doctor's appointment to have some things checked out, but wanted to take a pregnancy test just to have kind of my ducks in a row, and never anticipating that I would have a positive pregnancy test. So it was very much a surprise. I am fairly newly married, and to my high school sweetheart, actually. So it's kind of a cool story. We were disappointed that we kind of missed the boat on having kids together. I have two, like I said, and he also has two. So it was definitely a surprise, but we were also, once we got over the shock, pretty excited about it as well.
And what was your thoughts when you saw that positive test?
I think my initial thoughts were, how am I going to tell my adult children this? Just not knowing how they would react. thinking that they would be like, Mom, you know how to prevent this kind of scenario from happening, right? And they didn't know all the details of, my, I don't know, life trying to have another baby, and then what my thoughts were with my new husband. Those were not things I discussed with my adult children. So just didn't know what they would think. And I think I was nervous about that. And then again, starting over. I mean, my 19-year-old just moved out this week, actually. So being on the cusp of an empty nester and then starting completely over was definitely something I needed to wrap my head around.
Yeah. Yeah, I bet. And how was pregnancy for you?
I had an amazing pregnancy, I will say. So when I was 25 and almost 28 was the last time I was pregnant, and young and in decent shape, but not nutritionally minded. And I've always been a small statured person and fairly thin, I guess. So my eating habits were not stellar at that age. Fast forward to this age, I do Pilates and I've been certified as a holistic nutritionist, sell activewear, like I said, and my lifestyle is just completely different. And this pregnancy was 100% different. I gained 25 pounds this time versus 60 pounds with my first one and 50 with my second. My core is a lot stronger and my recovery's been better. But long story short, it was a fantastic pregnancy. And I think I shocked myself as well as my doctors, who were on high alert, of course, with my age.
Did you just use your OB that you've been going to?
Yes, I'm fairly new to the area. So I had really just had one OB appointment since I've lived here. And so just the same person that I had been seeing.
Mm-hmm. How was this pregnancy different besides the weight gain than when you were in your 20s?
I'm much more nutritionally minded. So I feel like I just felt better. I ate really, really good, clean food. I've been vegan for 12 years, which I think attributes to just feeling healthier. And I don't know if that attributed to a different pregnancy necessarily, but just feeling good. And then my age, just being kind of older and wiser and what to expect. And I feel like I was a lot more relaxed during this pregnancy as far as what was happening with my body and what I was capable of after and those types of things. And also I was having a girl versus having my two boys. So that was a little bit different too, just mindset, I think.
Were the doctors, did they comment on your diet?
My doctor was extremely supportive of my vegan diet, which I was so pleased with because I have heard from a lot of people, are you going to start eating meat now that you're pregnant, or dairy? And I absolutely have zero plans of doing that. And you just never know what the medical profession is going to think. But my doctor was, I had a female doctor, pretty young. She had just had a baby herself. She was super supportive of my lifestyle and knows that you can absolutely have a healthy vegan pregnancy. You don't have to eat meat or dairy to have a healthy pregnancy or lifestyle for that matter.
How did they respond to your age?
I went to my primary actually for the initial confirmation of being pregnant. And I will say it was just really funny. But before they even saw me, they obviously knew I was coming in for a pregnancy test and they had my age down. And so I felt like there were several people like wanting to get a glimpse of the 46-year-old that was pregnant. So that was kind of funny. But yeah, I mean, for the most part, I've had a pretty great response. My first ultrasound, the gal that did my first ultrasound, she said, we don't call it geriatric pregnancy anymore. And like, that's awesome because I really don't feel geriatric by any means. I'm super active. I know that they have to do what they have to do as far as, for risk assessment and whatnot. But for the most part, I feel like I was treated normal, not not like an old lady having a baby. So yeah, it was interesting.
Yeah, that's really nice. What about finding out the sex? Was that important to you?
It was. I just coming from where I was with my boys, I always wanted to find out what I was having with them. I just felt very bonded to them once I knew what I was having. I mean, I would have felt that way regardless of which sex it was, but I felt like I was going to bond with that baby and the sex and having a name picked out and that sort of thing easier, or better rather. So yeah, I wanted to know. Definitely, I wanted to have the name picked out, and I'd be lying if I said I wasn't kind of hoping for a girl. If I had a boy, it would have been awesome as well, but I was kind of hoping that I'd have a little girl of my own.
And it worked out perfectly.
It did. Yeah. And because of all of the advanced testing that I had to have done, I was able to know the sex really early on before ultrasounds and that sort of thing because of blood work.
About how many weeks were you when you found out her sex?
I was about, I think 12 weeks. Yeah, it was pretty early. It might have even been 10.
Yeah, I thought 12 was normal.
And not typically. It's usually during an ultrasound, and I could be wrong on that. But I remember finding out with my boys later, at least like maybe 15, 16 weeks during ultrasound, but I could have my facts wrong. But we did find out rather early just through blood test.
I haven't thought about finding out the sex like that because I don't want to find out, but I think it's cool that, you mentioned bonding with her, knowing the sex, because it's almost like you're finding out a little bit of her identity beforehand. And I can see how that can really help with bonding with them.
And it really is just a matter of opinion because I know so many people that they want to be surprised. And so I would just say it's a different kind of bonding. I think everyone bonds with their baby that they're growing inside of them. Yeah. But for me, I just feel like it was a different way to bond. So yeah.
Yeah. I love that. Was there anything product wise that helped you with your pregnancy?
I loved my prenatal vitamin. I used the Rainbow Prenatal. The full name's going to escape me, but I loved that vitamin. I feel like the prenatal vitamins that I took prior kind of hurt my stomach. And anyways, I loved that vitamin. Otherwise, just eating really clean, good food and drinking tons of water was super helpful. I don't put a ton of topical lotions and kind of don't tout that as saving me from stretch marks and that sort of thing. Coconut oil. I used a ton of coconut oil. And that's really about it as far as products. I'm pretty basic.
Hey, that's good.
Yeah.
Now you had a pretty big gap in between your kids. How did you prepare for this one?
It's funny because I was so overly prepared, I feel like, as a new mommy when I was really young and had just everything under the sun. I mean, the nursery was ready and I had the wallpaper and the border and the crib and the bumper pads. And I mean, you name it, I had it. We have 4 kids between the two of us and already a fairly small little beach house that we have no room for her technically. So we were kind of just winging it. Again, so much more relaxed at our ages and knew that everything's going to be fine. We probably didn't need half of the stuff that we had when we both did it the first go around. And so, yeah, we just were kind of winging it and knew that everything would be fine. So she's in our room and we'll have to wait for another one to move out before she has her own space technically.
Did you feel the need for classes or anything like that?
I didn't. I was offered classes and I just really didn't feel the need for that. I did reach out to a lactation consultant because I bottle fed both of my boys. My mom bottle fed, my aunts bottle fed, and they bottle fed formula. I didn't have any experience, or I didn't have a huge knowledge base when I was having my kids originally about breastfeeding. And again, I wasn't as nutritionally minded as I am today. So that was something that was all new to me. Also having my breast implants removed, I wanted to make sure that I was going to be able to breastfeed and do that successfully. So those were the only kind of classes and videos that I watched, and I just did it kind of on my own.
Did the doctor say it would be fine? Like you could be able to breastfeed after your implants were out?
It was kind of going to just be trial and error to see what happened. They were fairly confident that I wouldn't have an issue based on how the breast implants were put in and then how they were taken out. The incision was under the breast. So we had a pretty good idea that I would be fine. But again, not having ever done it, we weren't positive, but all is working out just fine.
Did you have any cravings during your pregnancy?
I would say definitely a sweet tooth. So I try to eat a pretty healthy lifestyle. I do enjoy having a glass of wine occasionally. So since that was kind of out the window, I definitely developed more of a sweet tooth. And so I would make desserts a lot of times. So like banana ice cream with fresh bananas and dates and peanut butter and those things were I definitely craved. I did not feel well in the beginning of this pregnancy, and that had not happened prior. I never got any sort of morning sickness or sickness at all with my previous. And I did not feel well for probably, I would say a good 10 weeks. I felt pretty awful.
Wow.
And just wanted bland food in the beginning. And after that, the sweet tooth came on.
So getting to your birth story, what was your plan going into your birth?
I had an emergency C-section with my first son and then a scheduled C-section with my second. I had several fibroids on my uterus. I think I mentioned that in the beginning. So they were concerned about me going into labor naturally. Because of the scar tissue that was like really thin where they had done the incisions prior. And then with the fibroids being so vascular, that was also a concern. So I didn't really have a chance to have any sort of major birth plan of my own. It was kind of just decided that I would have a cesarean.
How far along were you when you had the C-section?
39 weeks. Sometimes they go earlier with someone of my age, but everything was going so well that they decided 39 weeks would be good unless I went into labor earlier.
And how was the C-section? Was there any complications?
I had no complications at all. And again, my recovery this go around was so much easier than when I had my boys. I was just in a totally different shape. So being able to exercise, and pretty much up until the last couple weeks, I maintained a pretty good exercise routine and keeping my core strong and that sort of thing, I think helped a lot. But my C-section recovery was pretty easy, I have to say, this time.
What was your workout routine during pregnancy?
I did a lot of Pilates. I've always done Pilates, and then kind of kept that going until I couldn't anymore, until my belly kind of got in the way. Same with, so Pilates, I walk a lot, live near the beach, so it's nice to get out and walk at the beach. I do some weights, but pretty light weights. And then I have a Peloton, which I love. and rode that until my belly was kind of too much in the way to ride my bike. Towards the end, I was pretty much just walking and doing some light weights, but doing something pretty much every day.
What do you think made your pregnancy easier? You think the nutrition and your exercising really helped you to have a really good pregnancy?
I do. And probably having it be in place prior to getting pregnant, I think. It's not something I adopted after. I do think so. Like I said, when I was pregnant prior with my boys all those years ago, I was a really small statured person. Weight and body image and those kind of things just weren't on my mind. But having said that, my nutrition was not great and I didn't really exercise that much. So I definitely think that those two things have played a huge role in having just an easier pregnancy this go around at my age.
Mm-hmm. And your recovery is going well. What about breastfeeding? You're saying that is going well also?
It is. It's kind of been a little bit of she latched on right away, so that wasn't an issue. Those were things that I was kind of worried about. Is she going to be able to latch on, and am I going to be able to do this right? And I just wasn't positive, but she's been a champ. I am pumping bottles and giving them to her so that I can see how much she's getting. So I know not everybody needs to do that, but I feel like that's working for us better than her just kind of cluster feeding all day. And then I feed her at night from the breast, and she's growing like a weed. She was 6.5 pounds when she was born.
Ooh, tiny one.
Now she was a little peanut, and then she dropped weight, of course, like they do. She went down to like 514. And I think she's close to 8 pounds now. She has a doctor's appointment this next week, but she just busted out of her newborn diapers. Yeah, she's growing and putting on weight really well.
And you said you had help with a lactation consultant?
Mm-hmm. I have a really good friend that's a lactation consultant, so she was super helpful. And then I consulted with one at the doctor's office where I go. And watched YouTube videos, nice. To be honest. Yeah.
YouTube is so helpful for so much. It's kind of
really
crazy.
It really is. And I watched several different videos from different consultants, and majority of the information was pretty consistent, and I wasn't getting a bunch of different information, which was really nice. And again, not having breastfed before, I just wanted to make sure that I was really prepared for that. So yeah, that worked out. I thought it was a good source of information. YouTube was awesome.
Is there anything else you want to add?
I will say that, and especially for anyone that goes through what I did, I lost my brother during my pregnancy, and that was really challenging. Thank you. Yeah, that was really challenging and not anticipated. And so being able to kind of keep yourself in a decent place, like dealing with such trauma, I felt like that was really important. I had a lot of really great support, but just kind of being able to keep myself in check and reach out to people and talk to my doctor and that sort of thing. I just felt like was really important during that time.
Mentally, how are you during postpartum?
So far, I feel really good. Again, I'm 5 weeks in. I just had a doctor's appointment yesterday, and they went through all of these postpartum questions. It's interesting because I feel like that was not talked about very much when I had my boys, 20 years ago almost, with my last one. And friends are checking in. I have really good friends that are asking me pretty detailed questions and want to make sure that I'm good and want to make sure that I'm talking to someone if I need to. I do feel like I'm fine postpartum. Mm-hmm. I know things can come on at any time, but my nurse and doctor talked to my husband even while I was in the hospital about just signs and symptoms and what to watch out for. And I thought that was awesome. It was not addressed like that when I had my boys.
Was the placenta saving, or was that an option for you?
That was not a topic of conversation that ever came up.
Do you plan on having more kids in your 40s?
I do not. I am closer to 50, which sounds crazy to me. I just don't feel that age, I guess, but it's just a number, right? I don't. I had a C-section and I was going to have my tubes tied, but the doctor actually took my tubes out.
Oh, why did he take him out? Just as an alternative to tying your tubes?
So because of my age, there was an assumption that I likely wasn't going to have any more kids. Had I been younger, I don't think it would have been encouraged necessarily, but if you are for sure have zero plans of having any more kids, my doctor told me that taking them out helps prevent ovarian cancer.
I haven't heard of that. Interesting.
Yeah. Okay.
So we just had Jessica go get her baby and she is breastfeeding now. Jessica, what is the biggest challenge being pregnant over 40? I know losing your brother was really hard, but besides that, what else was the biggest challenge?
That definitely was the hardest part. I don't think age really would have made a difference as far as that goes, as far as losing my brother. But over 40, and especially at 46, when I found out, I think the biggest hurdle was mentally worrying about what other people were going to think. And I quickly got over that, but it was challenging. I was worried about what our family was going to think. I was worried about what my kids were going to think. And really that's it. But we were able to shift perspective pretty quickly, and everybody was super supportive, way more supportive than I ever anticipated. So it's been a real pleasure, actually, after all the shock wore off.
Is there anything that you would recommend that would help prepare someone for pregnancy and birth?
Can you hear her?
Yeah, a little bit.
Gosh, for pregnancy and birth, I really do think that nutrition and exercise is so important to me, to my lifestyle in general without being pregnant. And now that I've done it 2 different times in 2 different complete eras, I feel like that made the biggest difference to me. So yeah, if you have the opportunity to get yourself healthy and have a good exercise and nutrition routine prior, I think that's the best way to go.
And what advice would you give yourself when you were pregnant if you could go back?
I don't know that I would do a whole lot different. This was a total second chance for me, and I feel like it was so different. I really got to enjoy the time and kind of embrace it and really take it all in and have a total mind shift this go around. So I feel like I kind of did what I would tell myself to do again.
That's awesome. And where can our listeners find you on the internet?
I am on Instagram at Begin to Breathe Active. So awesome. I sell active wear. So it's my private account, but it's also my business page as well.
I've loved seeing Stevie like from your belly and everything. It's really neat.
Yeah, she'll be on there quite a bit.
Jessica, thank you so much for coming on the show and sharing your story.
You're so welcome. You're so welcome. Thanks for having me.
And that wraps up episode 22 with Jessica's pregnancy story at 47. On next week's show, we have Adrielle, who has to drive 3 hours to deliver her baby. I can't wait to share her story at 42. Thank you so much for listening. I hope you have a great week, and I will see you next Monday. Bye.